The 2027 season here in F1 24 career mode is well underway now, and we had an absolute banger to kick us off last time out. And if that is how the rest of the season's going to go, then we're in for an absolute treat. But yeah, if you guys did miss the previous episode, part number 57 of this career series at Jeddah for the opening round of this season, then be sure to go check it out before you see this one, as chaos. Chaos was the word of the day. I literally couldn't keep up with how much was happening. 4 wides, engine failures, AI mistakes, everything. Action right to the end. The last lap, last sector, last corner. As I said, from memory, one of the best opening rounds of a season we've had for a long time in career mode, of course. And so now here we are, episode 58 today for the Australian Grand Prix here in Season 4, Round 2. And Ocon leads the way in the championship, having won the first race of the season in the BMW Williams. Crazy. But as much as I want to maybe improve the car, I unfortunately have very quickly figured out we're in the same problem that we had last season at Mercedes. Even though I am very much the team leader and I've got way more recognition than Yuki, I do not have enough recognition. 60% recognition you need to open up the third round of secret upgrades, which basically means the final upgrades to make this a fully maxed out Toyota car. And this happened to us last time in Mercedes, so it seems like even when you move to a lower team where you have out and out more recognition anyway and you're way higher rated than your teammate, it still doesn't matter. I feel like this recognition system with the upgrading is very flawed, very flawed, because it basically means the player can never really max out their own car. They have to have their teammates do it before they move to said team, or, you know, whatever the case is. It's just very difficult to get to 60% recognition. Also, if you're moving team to team every season, as you would in a career mode of a game, trying to keep it fresh. I mean, who's going to actually stay in the same team for, like, you know, 3-4 seasons, like you would maybe in real life? It's a game, like, and especially F1 24. No one's going to play F1 24 that long. So yeah, I feel like the recognition. I feel like the recognition system very flawed in that regard, and I bring this up as a big matter to talk about because this is the R&D chart now going into Australia. We have got worse relative to everyone else, or rather everyone else has made huge strides. Mercedes make a massive leap from the worst team on the grid up to a middle point, P5 there. Ferrari and Red Bull and Aston Martin all making a lot of upgrades to catch and bridge the gap to McLaren on paper. High-Tech and Audi bringing updates, and really the teams that have not made the least amount of updates are ourselves at Toyota and Haas. And you can see actually we've plateaued from Jeddah to Australia because we had no upgrades to do. I can't do anymore because we don't have them unlocked. So yeah, left a little bit frustrated here with knowing that we can't really improve the car from this point until I get more recognition. And so I'm going to have to figure out a way of getting more recognition as quickly as we can. Obviously, last time out, we saw this R&D chart isn't gospel, so I think we can still be competitive, but clearly other teams around us are going to be a bit quicker because they do have some actual upgrades into this episode. So maybe this race will be the real yardstick of where we are as a team, at least for this first part of the season. Let's go into qualifying.
And a warm welcome, everybody. We're here in the heart of Melbourne. It's Albert Park, and it's qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix.
No strange weather here down under for round 2 of this season, but with the way Jeddah went with rain in qualifying, I'd forgive you if you were maybe expecting some snow here in Australia or something like that for weather. But no, it's all dry, and this is going to be a proper first outing then on the lowest fuel possible, wringing the neck out of these cars. Let's truly see where we are, and this will be more comparative for the rest of the season because not only is it not raining, so we can actually really wring the neck out of the car, of course now with those upgrades for other teams we can really see where we stand, because actually if we had a dry qualifying in Jeddah, that wouldn't have told us the full picture because all these upgrades were about to come for the AI teams. But you can clearly see we're pushing the limits of this car a little bit over the limit there on the first flying lap, because we had a massive moment right here through this fast right-hander. This time the rear end a lot more planted, and we gain about half a second alone in that one sector, 8/10 overall to get us up into P9. But that seems to be maybe where the car is. Hopefully there's a little bit more time to be found, but I have a sneaking suspicion based off the R&D chart, but then also how Toyota have been in the last season. I feel like we're aiming for around, P7 to 10 sort of marker. We're down to P11 now as we start our third and final flying lap. The car seeming a little bit peaky when it comes to the turn in there. Quite a few times we've had smoke coming out of some of the tyres, although to be fair, that may just be the brilliant latest update for F1 24 that has made the smoke a lot worse in every regard. As we now wrestle the car through the final corner, it does work for us to gain 4/10 of a second. Fernando Alonso there was stealing a slipstream off us. We finish in P8, which I'm not impressed by, but I'm not disappointed by. Like I said, that's where I felt like the car is. And there you go. Yuki only a 10th off us. So that's where we are. That's where the Toyota car legit is. Leclerc comes back strong after a weekend to forget in this season in Jeddah. The reigning champ is on pole position. Alonso, stealing a slipstream off me, gets up to the front row. So Aston Martin and Ferrari both come back strong in the second round with their upgrades. The same for both Red Bulls. McLaren take a bit of a step back relative. Ocon still looking good in the BMW Williams in P7. And it seems like, yeah, that's where the Toyota car is. Myself and Yuki, it's a stronger qualifying from Yuki. But the car certainly looks a little bit worse off here than it was in Jeddah. But there's still plenty to do in the race. So let's go to the grid.
This circuit missed a few years off the F1 calendar, and we missed Albert Park. So welcome back, and it's great to be back in Melbourne. Welcome to the Australian Grand Prix. The Melbourne circuit is certainly one that needs to be taken seriously. It's a combination of slippery surfaces and difficult corners, making it a very tricky track when it comes to overtaking. Drivers find it hard to pass and will need to take full advantage of those DRS zones if they want to have any hope of breaking through. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Fernando Alonso completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Norris, Perez, Hamilton, Ocon, and RB, Tsunoda, Stroll, Sainz, Behrman, Russell, Oscar Piastri, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, Zhou, Vesti, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
And alongside me, bringing glamour and expertise to our commentary today, Naomi Schiff. Let's look at their season, and particularly against their teammate. Fair to say, they've got the better of them more often than not. Now, sadly, things didn't work out for them last time. It was a bad race. Question is, though, can they recover today?
It is true, they had a really tough day in the office last time out, but they cannot dwell on that. It's so important to turn the page and start on a blank slate, because the more you dwell on that, the less it's going to push you in the right direction. So take some notes. Obviously, there's things to be learned, but move on.
So this is going to be a very interesting race, because a lot of us in the top 10 appear to have gone the same way. We've all chosen the hard tyres. Of course, we've got Michelin as a different tyre supplier for this season. And is this, we saw in Jeddah maybe a bit of a difference in terms of the tyre performance, a bit more consistency there for the entire stint. No overheating, at least for now, for us in this car and the Michelins. But is this an indication that not only maybe are the Michelins a bit more of a consistent tyre in terms of temperatures, but also in terms of what the better race tyre may be? I mean, if all of us, or most of us, are starting on the hards, that definitely speaks to a bit of a difference in strategy. Are we all going for one-stops, I dare say, from hards to mediums? Because I think that's what I want to do. I think that's the way you've got to go off the hards at the start of the race, but whether others go that way remains to be seen. I guess we're about to find out, but 8th and 9th in quali for myself and Sonoda. Can we go a bit more forwards from here? Let's find out. Others with upgrades as we go to lights out, and we're on the way for round 2 here in 2027. It's a great start again from Ocon. Bit of a slow one for the McLaren of Lando Norris. Yuki, look at him go. Yuki, an absolute bullet round the outside. The Japanese driver almost up into P6 there as he battles Hamilton, as we have to very aggressively cut across Lance Stroll just to maintain P9. But look at Yuki go. He's almost got the P6, but the Red Bull Ford will remain strong for P6 instead. Leclerc leads the way off pole position, but look at Verstappen ever closer, and it's a repeat of last season. Verstappen v Leclerc. The Red Bull's pretty close, but no DRS of course on the opening lap, so maybe not close enough to make a move quite yet, but applying the pressure already. And the same with Perez, who's flying high in the lead McLaren. Ocon, Alonso then close together, and then there's a pack. Hamilton, Sonoda, Lando Norris. We're trying to keep up with him as Ocon defends Alonso. Hamilton defending and locking up versus Sonoda. Big puff of smoke, and Hamilton's made a huge error there on the opening lap. Locked up. Saved it from going into the gravel trap, but lost 3 positions. He's down to P9, and we are up 1 free position as Sainz is nipping at the heels of Lance Stroll, but struggling to match Leclerc in the other Ferrari, leading the way as we have to go defensive versus Hamilton. Clearly the Red Bull Ford is looking a lot better around here than it did in Jeddah, owing to the upgrades, but also remember Verstappen had reliability issues in Jeddah, so maybe just with an actual working car, things are working well for him now as the Dutchman gets into P1. First time of asking with the DRS, as side-by-sides going on all the way through as Alonso flies past Ocon. I think that sequence in that fast chicane is going to be an area for a lot of overtaking, especially with the DRS and slipstream effect we have now. 4 seasons into career mode, we've spoken about this before. It seems pretty ridiculous when you have DRS open on this game now, when you're 4 seasons in. Like, the closing speed is a little bit jarring sometimes as we actually close up to Sonoda so quickly. I have to be very careful about going into the back of him as we're going so quick with battery as well. We pull out on the outside, but we want to go to the inside of Lando Norris and make a 2-for-1 pass. Oy, oy, oy. Good move there, up into P6. I was kind of low-key hoping Yuki may have followed us through, but it is what it is. We've had to do what we have to do because at this stage, I felt like it was necessary to get the move done. Even though Yuki had a really good opening 3 laps, finally, my hard tyres, they almost felt like it took that long to switch on and to grip up. So, again, maybe a bit of difference there, because I felt like last season with the Pirellis, immediately you could push, and I was feeling pace on hards, let's say in the Mercedes car. But now here, this season, it took a while to feel comfortable, but now we are feeling fast, we're overtaking more cars. We've got Alonso there, that same area of the track with DRS open, really abusing the slipstream. But Alonso now is actually coming back at us, as well as Lando Norris, and I can't keep up with Ocon, who is doing a stellar job in that BMW Williams of his, and he's broken DRS now. So I am actually maybe the sitting duck now, with a DRS train forming behind me of Alonso, Norris, Sonoda in there as well, and Hamilton. Meanwhile, up at the top now, you may notice Verstappen with a 3-second gap. He's bolted away in the lead, but that's also because he's on the mediums, whilst these two swap positions. Sergio Perez up into 2nd place for Chrome McLaren, but Perez and Leclerc both on the hards, like many of us, but Verstappen was the odd one out. He went mediums at the start of the race, so there's good reason why Verstappen is bolting away. He needs to use that tyre to good use, as we're caught in the middle of Norris and Alonso. I could see the writing on the wall. I was going to get pinched in if I didn't let those two go. That was a little bit unfortunate because Alonso did so well, but then Lando on the inside there forced my hand, because if I kept my foot in and committed, I was guaranteed a crash with the McLaren. So we had to step out of it. So we've lost 2 positions. in one span, and Hamilton has overtaken Tsunoda. Tsunoda now maybe struggling a little bit more now in the traffic, but that also may just be Hamilton going quicker, because in all of this, Hamilton has also been on mediums as well. Both Red Bull Fords chose mediums, so they need to use their tyres to good use. Verstappen's already done that. Hamilton yet to really wring the neck out of his car, because he's been in traffic having to overtake cars, and as we overtake Alonso there, obviously we got stuck behind Lando and have to be a bit more patient for the move on the main straight. But at least we got back past Alonso, so even though we gave up 2 positions, we can get them back. You know, there is a bit of pace there in the car, but it's just an ebb and flow with the race, basically. A bit of a yo-yo effect with the DRS being so powerful. As look at this from so far back. Can we make that move? Oi, oi, oi. Lando, very good on defense there. Pinches us in, and we have to go again. And it's, well, surprise, surprise, the same part in the circuit where all the action has been popping off as we go on the outside, aggressive as ever, as we turn in to get back up into P5, as Alonso now defending Hamilton. Verstappen with the fast lap of the Grand Prix, he's now in, so it's an early pit stop for him. Ocon will come in now. Leclerc, this is early though. This is the very next lap. Those guys on hards all come in. What are they doing? And I can tell you, I actually saw on the race director, they've all come in for another set of hards. So what is going on here? Because I think it's a one-stop. Verstappen's pit for another set of mediums. So he's doing a 2-stop guaranteed, Verstappen, because he's got medium, but so is Leclerc, so is Perez. They've gone hard. What a peculiar development. I really thought we were going to all be doing a 1-stop, maybe barring Verstappen, but no, it seems like they're doing all 2 stops with 2 hard tyres. I'm here thinking the Michelins are durable. These guys don't think so, as we're now trying to defend Verstappen as much as we can, because this is quite crucial. Doing a 1-stop, I need to be the most annoying person ever right now in the lead of this race. The more I can hold these guys up, the better this will be for me later in the race, potentially. I may not be racing these guys, but keeping them behind me at this stage will bunch up everything and keep things a little bit more on their toes. You know, maybe an incident or whatever in the last stint. And so eventually we do come in, but we've done a great job at defending Verstappen as much as we could. Remember, obviously his tyres were a bit worn at that point as well then, because he was on mediums and they'd done a couple of laps there, so the mediums would have worn a little bit, but now we're on to a set of mediums of our own. But we've done really well, 17 laps on hards, and now we do what, 11 laps to the end of this race. I don't know about the AI, but for me at least, I'm liking these Michelins. I'm liking this vibe. You know, a 1-stop around here. We haven't pulled off a 1-stop around Australia since like season 1, I feel. Season 2, season 3, if I remember. Both times I did a 2-stop. Obviously, it worked out for us really well last time out. I won it at the final corner. But this time, in the slightly slower Toyota, I'm feeling the 1-stop is the way to go. But the problem is now Verstappen has pit himself, and he's on fresh hards, and he's coming for us at a rate of knots. Now, compared to the previous fight, we were both on a bit worn tyres. Now, Verstappen's got the freshest hards he's ever had, and he goes and outbrakes us completely, and I just can't defend him in the same manner I did last time, because his hards are really like juicy fresh, only 1 lap through them basically, so he pushed flat out and got the move. And at this stage now, as much as I'd like to fight Leclerc and try and hold him up, he's not in our fight. He's not in our fight. Verstappen's not either. And I'm just going to lose my self-time if I fight Leclerc too much. My fight is actually with Perez and Hamilton maybe today, because Perez is 3 seconds back. So Leclerc is going to come and overtake us. I've got DRS open, but I don't deploy battery because I just accept Leclerc and Verstappen are not in our fight today. But Perez, he might be. And so now I've got a great way of maybe having that clean air to stay ahead of Perez. And remember, Perez was on for a podium. So all of a sudden, could I maybe just finesse a podium with this one stop? Meanwhile, Alonso down in P14. What's happened to him? Fernando Alonso's had a mare with the pit stop strategy. He's way down the order as Tsunoda and a load of other people pit in. We're up to 3rd place. So we are on for a podium right now. We're going to the end, of course, like everyone now, having made their final stops. Perez is behind me by 1.4 seconds. And let's see where Yuki comes out, because I think he's jumped Alonso. He's way ahead of Alonso and Lando Norris. So Alonso and Norris, they've definitely lost time in all this, the pit stops, because they're behind Russell. Albon's jumped up, Hulkenberg's jumped up the order, and Tsunoda as well. So, yeah, definitely some people getting held up in traffic or what, as Leclerc goes for the overtake and retakes the lead of this Grand Prix from Verstappen. And meanwhile, you've got Hamilton going round the outside in the similar manner, and he's up into P4, and I can confirm Perez has a car issue as well, we've been told. So Perez is going to go down the order. So I'm hoping Yuki could gain one more free position by the end of this thing. But Hamilton now, that's worrying. He's released and he's got clean air to finally use the Red Bull pace. And he's closing up to us. And that Red Bull pace is mighty because Verstappen, look at the top left, has got back into the lead of this race. Hamilton on the outside, even though we're deploying battery all the way down this straight, we're trying to fight it, but Hamilton has too much for us. We saved so much battery. You would have seen I deployed nothing versus Verstappen and Leclerc, and I was saving it all to try and defend whoever was going to come after me. It was Hamilton, did nothing. That Red Bull with DRS and some battery for him, I'm sure, just waltzed past me. I used most of my battery up and we still didn't even keep the position. So, yeah, it was a nice effort, but maybe the podium was a bit of a pipe dream, as Tsunoda, though, is trying to get up into P7, battling my old teammate, George Russell, who is enjoying a slightly improved silver arrow. But Tsunoda is eventually going to carve his way through up into P7, and watch where Russell is, because he goes down one more position behind Lando Norris, and Alonso now is on the back of him. Perez altered, by the way, is down to P6, so he's really struggling, but Russell is down 3 positions in one sector. Wow, that Mercedes may have had some upgrades, but it still very much is in the mud. Tsunoda may well get overtaken by Lando, but Perez will fall behind all of them. But for us in our race, we're here on the last lap, and the podium's gone, but I'm actually under pressure from Esteban Ocon now. The Williams has closed and clearly has better race pace, and we're trying to defend, but at the same time, I'm wanting to save battery for the last sector to try and stay ahead of Ocon. This is crucial for us to stay ahead now, but also have enough battery for the end, because last lap moves are common on this game around this circuit, as you're about to see Verstappen. Last lap, last sector, last couple of corners, goes round the outside. It's a smash and grab. The Dutchman takes the race win in the dying stages, as Tsunoda gets 2 positions on the last lap to climb from P9 back to P7. But it's Verstappen that wins it ahead of Leclerc. What a finish for them. And for us, we're going to limp home for P4. The one stop has done wonders. Let's be real. This car did not have the pace to be on for maybe a podium and a P4 today, basing off what we saw with Yuki. That was a good race. That was a good executed one stop for us. This car definitely needs more downforce. The problem is those upgrades are locked away behind the recognition.
It's another victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
I really thought it was going to be the Ferrari win, but what an overtake, what a move. Left it to the last sector. Verstappen wins the Australian Grand Prix. Another thrilling end to a race here in 2027. Please keep it going, please, F1 grid, as it's a double podium for Red Bull. Ocon still leads the way in the championship. We're still second. Hamilton third with a consistency. Obviously, Verstappen gets off the mark for the first time, as well as Leclerc. Both of those drivers in the top 2 didn't score any points last time. So they're both off the mark. Red Bull lead the constructors as they seem to be the most consistent team so far, with both Lewis and Verstappen scoring points. But I'm happy with where we are. We just definitely need a bit more downforce on the front end, but as I said, we need to figure out how to get more recognition to unlock that. But at least we know we can pull off one stops in this Toyota, unlike the Mercedes car, so that'll be something to think about. But guys, if you have enjoyed this one, hit the like button, let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.